Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. Today I want to share with you 5 fragrances that you should not blind buy. These are all fragrances that I think that you need to test before you buy. And before we get started, if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that button. Join the Weird Wonderful family. It would be amazing to have you part of the community, and let's get into this. Now, when I think about all of these fragrances, they're all beautiful fragrances. I enjoy all of them except for one, but they are all polarizing. So people either tend to love them or hate them. You need to test them on your skin. And honestly, with any fragrance, first of all, blind buying isn't a recommended way to do things. But all of these fragrances, people will either love them or hate them for whatever reason. And so I thought I'd share them with you, and let's get into this. Now, this is definitely a fragrance that I blind bought that I really regret blind buying, and it is Valentino's Donna Born in Roma. Now, this is a fragrance that lots of people absolutely love. For some, it's like a ride or die, and it is a nice fragrance, but for whatever reason, as soon as I smell it, like instantly it kind of turns my stomach, and I've never been able to get behind it. This has black currant, which is one of my favorite notes, pink pepper and bergamot. So I thought it was an easy blind buy. This has jasmine and jasmine tea. It has bourbon, vanilla, gaiac wood, and cashmeran. Now the issue for me is that, first of all, I don't really get any of those fruity aspects at all. I get the jasmine and I get a lot of the vanilla, and I find the vanilla very, very sweet and a little too much. And then I get the woodiness. So it just kind of smells a little bit like a mess to me. I keep it because I'm hoping that someday I will all of a sudden fall in love with this because so many people love it. But so far it's not worked for me. I find that the fruit is not there enough. The jasmine, I enjoy jasmine. I don't think it's too floral, but it's just overpowered by the woodiness and the vanilla for me. And so I don't enjoy this one at all. Now, I know that there's many of you that agree with me and many of you that don't. This one, for some people, it's the sexiest fragrance. Men tend to love it. So it's one of those fragrances that you either love it or hate it. On all of these fragrances, I want you to weigh in and tell me, do you like them? Do you not like them? And tell me why. I would love to know. So that is Donna Born in Roma. The next fragrance that is absolutely, it's one of the least safest blind buys there could be, and it would be Amouage Sunshine for women. Now, honestly, I find that all Amouage fragrances to be fairly polarizing. I think that Overture would be the one fragrance that I would say is a little bit easier to love for most people, a little bit more mass appealing. But overall, I find that Amouage fragrances are just a little bit more outside of the box. They're a little more niche smelling and definitely not mass appealing. And you have to get down with kind of different type of notes. So this has white tobacco in it. It's got almond, there's vanilla. Again, there's black currant in this one. There's osmanthus. It has a bit of woodiness. It's just a really interesting fragrance. It smells like humid apricot-y smelling wood, apricot-y almond smelling wood. I think it's very relaxing. It's sophisticated. It's different. It lasts forever on the skin. It morphs on the skin. So it's a super interesting fragrance, but I can see a lot of people smelling this and going, what is that? Like they just wouldn't get down with it. So fragrances like this, Guidance is very similar. So people have talked that one up big time on social media, but for some people, instead of that being the glorious, sexy fragrance that people talk about, for some people, it smells like BO. And there is no right or wrong. So you're going to interpret a fragrance the way you interpret your fragrance. You can interpret it for lots of reasons. It could be because you're new to fragrance and you don't quite know what's going on and it's not a typical smell that you smelt in perfumery. It could be that. It could be like a cilantro situation where it's it's either soapy or it's delicious to you. So there's lots of reasons why our taste or the way our brain perceives a fragrance is either, oh wow, that's magnificent, or this is the worst thing I've ever smelt. There is no right or wrong. How you perceive it is absolutely fine. So again, weigh in about fragrances like this or Guidance by Amouage, because some people, again, think it smells like dirty armpits and other people think it smells absolutely sexy. Same thing with Delina. Delina is another fragrance. I don't have it, but you certainly shouldn't blind buy that one. It either smells like BO or a mixture of BO and florals, or the sexiest thing you've ever smelt. Go figure. I don't get it, but that's the way it is. Another fragrance that I don't think is very blind buy safe is Dolce & Gabbana's The Only One Intense. Now this is a beautiful, like I smell it and I love it. The thing about this one that makes it not blind buy safe is what you smell on the cap is not necessarily what comes out on your skin. So at first, it's this glorious kind of apple, coconut, boozy goodness that comes out on my skin, and then eventually it starts to morph and becomes a lot more woody. The reason why I think that this one isn't safe to blind buy is that, first of all, it's very, very sweet in that opening. So if you're not a huge fan of major sweetness, I think that this would be too much for you. And then in the dry down, you get a lot of woodiness in. So you've got to be a sweet lover and a woody lover. And I don't necessarily think people are both. So definitely one that you want to try on your skin first. This one is one I just can't get rid of. I don't wear it very often. It gives me, it's reminiscent actually of Rouge Malachite. So it's a gorgeous fragrance. But I find that when I put it on at first, I really love it. And then the dry down, I'm not really crazy about it. So for that reason, I think this is definitely one that you need to try on your skin first. I have two more that are not blind buy safe. And the first one is Burberry Gruns. Now this one has been talked up big time. This currently is one of my favorite fragrances. Like, I absolutely love it. So this is pretty much a straight up vanilla fragrance with some ginger, cacao, and lavender. I get the cacao, I get the ginger, but that lavender note definitely comes through. So you need to be able to like lavender to like this one, and not everybody does. Now that said, this fragrance I think can appeal to people that lavender's not their favorite note, but you still may really enjoy this because you might get more of that cacao or that ginger. So it's definitely one that you need to try before you buy, because that lavender could be off-putting for you. But if it's not, this is seriously one of the most stellar vanillas ever. Like, I absolutely adore this fragrance. And the last one that I think is very non-blind buy safe is Elisab Le Parfum. Now this one doesn't get talked about near as much anymore. It's a beautiful orange blossom fragrance. This is a fragrance that is perfect for weddings, anything that you want to have that's uber feminine. This is one that men really love. It's just straight up orange blossom floral. This one has honey, orange blossom, and cedar. I think there's more notes in there, but that's primarily what I get. So you have to love floral. And not everybody these days loves just straight up floral without there being some sort of juicy, delicious fruit on the opening. So just a more straight up traditional floral fragrance, some people really struggle with. Now, I personally find this very sexy. I think that this is a classy fragrance. I think it's signature scent worthy. I think it's a fragrance that you can wear all year round and it smells amazing. The longevity is pretty decent, like about 7 hours out of this one. And I just think it's absolutely like very sophisticated, proper. It's a proper fragrance. So this is uber proper, but it's also somehow uber sexy and alluring for men. So love Elisab Le Parfum. But again, you have to really love orange blossom because this is just an orange blossom bomb. So that is it. What about you? Do you like these? Do you think that they're blind buy safe? I really don't think many fragrances are blind buy safe, but these ones in particular, you hear about them a lot. People really, really love them, but there's an equal amount of people that really dislike them. So what about you? Weigh in about these fragrances and also let me know what other fragrance you don't feel are safe to blind buy. And other than that, I hope you have an amazing week and we'll talk to you soon.